Who the avoidant actually ends up with, it's not who you think. The myth of moving on. When a dismissive avoidant leaves, it's natural to wonder, who do they end up with? Do they ever regret it? Do they ever love deeply again? The reality is far more nuanced than people want to believe. Avoidants rarely move on in the emotional sense. They relocate emotionally, not evolve. Their next relationship often reflects their need for control, predictability, and emotional distance, rather than genuine intimacy. While others seek connection to feel alive, avoidants seek safety to feel stable. That distinction defines every choice they make in love. Avoidants seek safety to feel stable, not connection to feel alive. The paradox of avoidant love: craving closeness, fearing intimacy. Avoidants do fall in love, but from a distance. They're drawn to emotional warmth when it's slightly out of reach, because closeness activates their deepest fear: the loss of autonomy. Love, for them, isn't soothing, it's destabilizing. It reminds them of early experiences of dependency, helplessness, or emotional engulfment. So when you tried to love them deeply, when you reached in with empathy and emotional truth, their nervous system interpreted that as danger, not affection. Who they choose next: the safe partner. After leaving someone emotionally open and self-aware, avoidants often choose a partner who feels easier. Someone who doesn't ask deep emotional questions, doesn't demand intimacy, doesn't challenge their defenses. This new person may appear calm, independent, even secure, but often, they're just emotionally restrained or avoidant themselves. The relationship looks peaceful from the outside, no fights, no drama, but it's emotionally lifeless on the inside. There's no chaos because there's no closeness. No tension because there's no truth. It's not love, it's mutual emotional avoidance disguised as harmony. Safety that turns into emptiness. Over time, that peace begins to feel like a quiet prison. Avoidants start to feel a deep existential loneliness, the price of safety without connection. They crave emotional depth again, but their fears keep them locked in distance. Ironically, they often find themselves haunted by the person they once pushed away, the emotionally available partner who touched something real in them. You become the ghost they can't forget, not because they idealize you, but because you represent the part of themselves they abandoned. The dysfunctional dance. Avoidant plus anxious. Another common pattern is the avoidant-anxious pairing, a match made in mutual wounding. The anxious partner chases, overgives, and pleads for closeness. The avoidant partner withdraws, controls, and maintains emotional distance. Both feed each other's insecurities. The anxious gets temporary validation from the chase. The avoidant gets safety from being pursued but never caught. They mistake tension for connection. Each stays hooked on the illusion that love means struggle. It's not love, it's trauma reenactment. What settling down really means for avoidant. Many avoidants eventually settle down, but not into deep love. They choose partners who are emotionally predictable, calm, and undemanding. People who won't challenge their walls or expose their fears. It's not passion, it's peace, but peace built on emotional numbness. Over time, this comfort turns hollow. Nights grow quieter, but not kinder. They begin to sense that something's missing, but they can't name it without confronting their past. The turning point. When some avoidants finally heal. Healing begins when the avoidant gets tired of running. After enough failed relationships and emotional isolation, they start to question their patterns. Some enter therapy, others awaken through self-reflection. Self-protection. Keeping distance to feel safe. Self-sabotage. Patterns that undermine relationships. Authentic connection. Choosing vulnerability and closeness. They realize that their emotional detachment was never strength, it was self-protection turned self-sabotage. And protection, when never released, becomes a prison. The healed versus the unhealed avoidant. There are two distinct outcomes. The unhealed avoidant ends up with comfort. A partner who doesn't threaten their emotional walls. A life that feels safe but dull. The healed avoidant ends up with connection. A partner who invites truth, intimacy, and emotional depth. A life that's vulnerable but fulfilling. The difference is everything. One life feels quiet but empty, the other feels uncertain but alive. The hard truth. It was never about you. If you've ever loved an avoidant, remember this. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because you represented too much truth, too much emotional exposure, too much vulnerability. You reminded them of everything they'd spent a lifetime avoiding. So they ran, not toward someone better, but toward someone safer. Don't envy the one they end up with. What looks peaceful on the outside is often avoidance wrapped in routine. The real victory. Choosing yourself. Healing isn't waiting for the avoidant to come back changed. It's turning your love inward until you no longer chase what runs from you. Because the moment you stop analyzing their behavior and start focusing on your own emotional growth, you've already won. You've become what they fear and secretly admire most. A person who no longer needs external approval to feel whole. Someone who understands that real love doesn't chase or hide. It stays, but only where it's safe to unfold. Final reflection. So, who does the avoidant actually end up with? The answer depends on whether they ever face their own fears. Most end up with safety. A few, the courageous ones, end up with love. But the real question isn't who they end up with. It's who you become after they leave. Because once you stop waiting for their return, you stop living in their story, and start writing your own. Summary insight. Avoidants don't seek better partners, they seek safer ones. They trade passion for peace, truth for control, and vulnerability for comfort, until they realize that emotional distance, no matter how secure it feels, always comes with the quiet ache of isolation. Healing, for both sides, begins when love stops being a place to hide and starts being a place to grow.